Here at the ACA, we value separation of church and state. Keeping one's religious beliefs out of governmental policy is critical for ensuring that all people are safe. Legislating with the explicit intention of criminalizing those who merely disagree with your beliefs is a tried and true recipe for disaster. We can see the destruction and chaos this causes the world over. Whether it is Mubarak Bala in Nigeria, Raif Badawi in Saudi Arabia, or Tumaj Salahi in Iran, we see the horrific consequences of a government that shuns secularism, reason, and science and relies on a holy book instead. Now, there are some here in the United States who want to roll back the protections of secularism and install a theocracy in its place. Those who want Christian nationalism may drape themselves with the flag, but don't be fooled. This ideology is entirely anti-American. It goes against one of the most central tenets of this nation's founding and will only lead to greater misery. If you think there is any justification whatsoever for a non-secular government, call us because the show's starting right now. Yes, that's right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Atheist Experience. Today is January 26, 2025. I am your host, Secular Rarity, and joining me today is the Ayatollah Apostate Extraordinaire, Armin Navabi. What's up, brother?
Hey, I missed doing a show with you.
Yeah,
this
man.
Is great.
It's always so fun to be hanging out with you. We always get into some wild nonsense. And you know what, Armin, we are like 5-0 or something at this point. There has not been a single person that has ever called while you and I are on the show together that has presented a solid case for their belief. It is amazing. I don't know if they are scared. I don't know if they are busy. I wouldn't want to say that anybody is afraid of your great arguments and stuff, but I don't know. We'll have to see. The lines are open right now, 512-991-9242. So I mean, you right now can destroy us if you so choose. I pray about it. Maybe God will help you. But before we get to some calls, I have to tell you that the Atheist Experience is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. I freaking love it. I love secularism. I'm a big fan of it. Armin, do you also like secularism? I just want to make sure before we continue.
I do.
Okay. It's like where would you put it in terms like secularism, long walks on the beach? Like where would you say?
No secular. I mean, without secularism, I don't know if I would be able to have long walks on the beach. I mean, to be, I don't want to get philosophical, but I see secularism as a subcategory of many other principles that encourages society to have less centralized power. So I mean, we're basically in general to have liberalism, you want to protect a framework, but other than that framework, everything else should be free. And to protect that freedom, we try to avoid centralization of power. That's why we like 3 branches of government, so power doesn't get too concentrated within the government. That's why we want religion to be separated from the government, because political power and also religious power together is too centralized. That's why we want to fight to break up monopoly, because we don't like centralization of economic power. And many other, free speech is also a decentralization method. So basically all of these goes under the umbrella of avoiding centralization, too much centralization of power.
Yeah. And I always find whenever I talk about secular ideals or a secular government to my religious friends or those in my life, I often find that they get particularly scared and they seem to have this feeling for some reason that secularism means no religion whatsoever. And I think that is just completely wrong. That is not at all the point, right? It is about equality. It is about the fact that either we are providing a safe space for all of these religions or none, right? And I think honestly, that's the only way that you can actually ensure the freedom of your religious beliefs.
And you know how we know that secularism benefits religious people?
How?
Because a lot of people think secularism is a position for atheists and less religious people against religious people. But we can tell that secularism is actually better for religious people, given the tendency for religious people to want to migrate from less secular countries to more secular countries.
Yeah, and specifically mentioning that as a major reason as to why they made that travel. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I am sure there is somebody out there, though. This is the thing, because I know I'm wrong about some stuff, man. I am sure there is somebody out there that disagrees, that thinks like secularism is bad, like it doesn't work well or something. There must be these people, because there is this huge Christian nationalist wave right now that is trying to tear down the separation of religion and government in this country. So I don't know. I don't know where they are, but if you're out there, give us a call. And before we go into the question of last week, and we've got some good answers, I need to let you guys know we are doing a fun super chat challenge today. For every super chat you send, I don't want to do this. Okay. $10 or higher, I will squeeze a lemon into this glass here, and I will drink it on the frickin' show. Look, sending super chats is a great way for you to support the ACA, okay? You can send in super chats that are $9 and lower, okay? You can send in multiple super chats that are, $5, $6, right? And it'll add up to the price that you wanted to send. But if you do send a single super chat, I have 5 pounds of lemons here, so I don't want to.
Wow.
Did we already get one? I don't like
this. This is the second one, I think.
Okay,
no?
yeah, we've got okay. We've got one already. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna read those. After we do the. We're gonna do the question of the week real quick, and then I guess I have a lemon already. Last week's share your experience question of the week. Last week we asked you if Allah allowed us to create one additional prohibition or fatwa, what should it be? Okay. And these are our 3 favorites chosen exclusively by Johnny P. Angel. So if you don't like them, you know who to yell at. Number 3, challenge your beliefs, said that additional fatwa, not wearing white after Labor Day. Yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly. I don't know. I don't tend to wear a lot of white clothing in general just because I'm very messy. And that's not like it's like something I'm proud of or anything. I just seemingly am incapable of eating properly. Anyway, number 2, Bruce Baker saying fatwa against bad apologetics. Our prophet is better than that of the infidel. Our version of the same. God is better than that of the infidel. Our apologetics shall be better than Jim Bob at the Nuh-uh Institute. Mullahs assemble. I actually do like the thought of just somebody yelling that, like in the middle of Mecca, and just all of these mullahs just like running out in mass or something. All right, number 1 from Nick Guy. We have Allah should make the next fatwa. No teaching your children anything you cannot show to be true. 2 generations, no more Muslims. Well, Nick, that is a pretty spicy one. I think that is very possible. I
I want to get technical.
Okay.
I don't know why this is like.
Go get technical. Do it. Do it.
Okay. Technically, Allah doesn't give out fatwas. The
It's the
Islamic
scholars.
ulama,
Right.
the
right.
scholars give out fatwas. Yes.
I
If Allah communicates with you in any way, you're a prophet, and that would be a verse. That would be a revelation. Yeah.
I sent you not long ago a little video I saw on TikTok of this imam that was answering questions, and the question he got was whether or not it was halal to eat pork in Minecraft. And he was, guys, you could see how bummed he was when he answered that. He was very much upset by that. He was like, brothers, I don't care. Like, please stop this. This is nonsense. It was really it's very, very funny. Okay. But we have another question. We have another one for you. And I know that we're going to get some good answers for this. So, Armin, what is really buried under the Kaaba at Mecca? What's really inside that cube? What's going on in there? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking about this before the show, and I think I started a movie. I was thinking, what if the angels, again, this is not going to be funny, but I don't care. I want this movie to be made. Okay. What if the angels have taken Allah hostage and they're torturing him there? And when people pray and want things, they just basically torture him until he does that thing. And they basically have this Islamic operation. The whole Allah thing is like the angels, that's a front. The angels are running everything. Allah is a hostage. They're torturing him to use his power to run the world and respond to people's dua, their prayers, and basically raising money and creating a whole infrastructure and institution, an Islamic institution back there. But that's basically where they're holding Allah, because when people pray towards the Kaaba, that's how Allah gets his energy and his power. So they need to hold him there to be able to basically collect all the, it's kind of like solar panels, when people pray towards it, they just receive all that energy. I just want that movie to be made, whatever. I'm waiting for AI
to if you create that movie, there's going to be a scene near the end where Allah, has to like rip his shirt off and like break out of the torture thing and beat down all the cards and stuff, on his way out.
Yes. Gabriel is running everything, and Allah is actually like, I want you to, when I make this movie, I want you to sympathize with Allah. Like Gabriel will be the evil person,
right? And
then you will actually sympathize with Allah as a poor, that's the movie I want to make. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Honestly,
do you think anybody would watch that?
I mean, honestly, I would watch it. I would watch it. And you know what? That to me is, kind of a decent explanation how we got a good handful of the major religions anyway. It was just some fanfic. Yeah. Somebody was like, I don't know. What if Yahweh had a kid? Like, that'd be cool. Oh, God. Well, I'm sure we've pissed somebody off, but I am excited because you guys always give us great answers. And I'm not just being kind to our amazing, fantastic, beautiful, and intelligent audience so that they specifically won't send $10 super chats or higher. I'm not doing that. This is completely genuine. I appreciate you guys. You always give us the best answers in the comments below. Yeah, okay. I guess I'm going to read these super chats. So Jonathan France, you're awesome. 199 saying cubes. Miranda Rensberger has been a member for 1 year, and we really appreciate you, Miranda. I just want you to know that. Nobody here is in any way, shape, or form upset with you. Sending $10, asking the question, so is there anything SR won't do for a super chat? And apparently we are discovering that answer is no. So that's one lemon. That's one. I'm thrilled for this. Then we've got $4.99. You rock, Keller Communications, the global tour guide. You are awesome. I'm just saying that. The ACA saved my sanity. As an atheist in Texas, it means so much to be able to hear your voices and know I'm not alone. Much love, SR and Armin. Well, thank you so much. Seriously, you are awesome. That is the best freaking part about doing this stuff. Then we've got Philip Mitchell, a member for 2 years. Great member, sending $10 whole with the super chat message, "Life is sending you lemons," with a fucking winky face. You're great, Philip. You're great. Miss Non Sequitur sent $2 only, because Miss Non Sequitur is a decent and kind human being with a heart, saying lemons are yummy. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, well, so yeah, I'm gonna get working on juicing some fucking lemons, I guess. But in the meantime, we are gonna grab some calls. We got some good ones coming in, but we have more open lines, folks. So if I have said anything that has frustrated you, or Armin has, or maybe you just think we're wrong in general, honestly, it's really fair. I mean, we won't be upset. Just let us know, give us a call, and yeah, anywho, we are gonna go out to Virginia. We are gonna grab Kenneth. He, him, wants to talk a little bit about Christian mythicism and so on and so forth. So hey, Kenneth, you were on the Atheist Experience with SR and Armin. What's up?
Hey, how y'all doing? Greens from Richmond, Virginia. I was just calling because I haven't listened in a while, but, you know, a lot of Christians who call themselves Christian will come on and say, I can prove God, and he gives some ridiculous reason. And I think that's a mistake. I think to understand whatever God is not going to be used through the traditional methods, especially like trying to prove in the Bible. I think it's more of a mystical experience. And I got to be honest with you, there's nothing you can prove scientifically. It's just a way of knowing.
What way of knowing? First of all, what is God, and what is the way that you know it?
Yeah, help us with that.
So let's say it's not. Say whatever this God thing is, you're saying that the scientific method fails at letting us know anything about it. Okay, fine. We will put the scientific method away. Tell us what it is, and what is your method of knowing it, as you describe it.
Well, it's got to be careful, because at the moment I try to describe God or say God, it becomes a form of idolatry. But you cannot
describe. So you believe in something that when we want to know what it is, you can't describe it. So what's the point of talking about it at all? Yeah.
Well, I think what you're talking about is your experience that you have. And
experience of what?
I would say that I have experience of what I guess what some people call enlightenment, or God forbid, say a feeling. And then I would maybe share this experience with someone else, and this is what I experienced. Now, I can't prove scientifically that was God. It could have been a chemical going off in my head. I don't know. But it did cause change.
We're not talking about scientifically. Okay, we're not even. So let's take. Okay, so let's take one step at a time. Okay, we're not in the position right now to find a way to prove or to even figure out even whether this thing exists or not. We are first trying to figure, before we even get to that step, we first have to know what are we talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So before we talk about whether or not we could show that it exists or not, or even if we want to show that it exists or not. But how can we start having a conversation about whether or not we can know this thing exists if I don't know what you're talking about, right? So when you're talking about having some feelings or experiences, this thing that you're labeling as God, does it refer to the feelings itself, or are you feeling something that you're calling that thing God, right? So you're saying I have some feelings, I have some experiences. So the feeling, are you feeling something that is God, or are you describing the feelings themselves? Can you tell me that?
Okay, you're right. That's a good question. I would say the source of the feelings is coming from what I consider God, but the feelings themselves are not God.
Okay, and you cannot describe to us what this God thing is.
Yeah.
No, I cannot. I cannot describe to you, at least at this development in my stage of Christian mysticism, I cannot.
If I
And that
told
is a
you,
very
Kenneth, if I told you that I have a pet at my house, it's just off camera here. You can't see it. It's further away than the lemons and the cutting board are at the moment for me.
okay.
But I can't describe this pet in any way, shape, or form. I have no characteristics for this pet. What do you think the likelihood is that that pet is real?
Well, that's a very intriguing question because
I thought
you're
so.
dealing with something that's corporate. I'm sorry, my wife is trying to call me, and I'm on my cell phone. Sorry, you hear that? I think you're dealing with something that's corporal and relatable, right? That so I can, like this is a cat, right? So I would. It's a little bit. It's a tricky question. I can't give you an answer.
Let me try it this way. Let me try it this way. Is there anything else that you can think of that if I substituted out God or pet, and I then said back to you what you've said to us, which is, yeah, like I don't have any criteria for it. I can't give you any characterization whatsoever. Is there anything else that you could put in that slot other than God in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, you could, right? I mean, it could be an alien from outer space, right? I mean, it could be anything, right? But I guess I choose to accept that that's God. But I understand what your argument is, right?
Go ahead, Armin. Yeah.
So,
right.
Okay, so you have certain feelings, okay, of something, right, that you cannot describe to us.
Right.
So we have the feelings of something, and that thing you cannot describe to us.
Back to what is it I cannot describe to you? I'm gonna just want to make sure we understand each other.
Okay.
What do you think I
can
cannot
you answer
describe?
two questions? No, I want you to answer two questions. Can you describe the feelings? One, and also can you explain whatever that thing that you're feeling is, why have you decided to refer to it as God? Can you tell me these two questions? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I will attempt to. I may not be able to do it, but I will attempt. Okay, I can say I've had an experience where I was in a certain state of mind. And then I've had this impression, I hate this term, but some people call it mind speak. And it was completely nothing I was thinking about at the time. I was in a very, whatever emotional state or something. But that impression that came into my mind struck me as being quote unquote truth, because it pivoted the way I was thinking into a more positive way. Now, could that have been sent by some, guy, a scientist behind some door beaming stuff? I have no idea. But whatever it was, it changed my mind to where I was thinking differently. And I think in a more positive way. I call the source of that is, for lack of a better word, God.
Okay. Why did you decide? So let me know if I'm describing this correctly. You had a reframe of thinking about things that seemed to be closer to the truth to you, and it seemed to be more positive to you. Okay, that was the feelings is that a good description of the feelings that you were having? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
And
so
wasn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And it wasn't something I was actively trying to do, at least consciously. Okay. I wasn't conscious and yeah.
So it seemed like it was happening without you trying to make it so. It seemed like it had a life of its own, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Or at least I was in emotional.
Why did you decide? Okay, fine. Okay, and is it possible that because it seemed like it was doing something that you weren't controlling, that's the reason why you are referring to it as God? Because it seemed to be, if you were not doing it, then something else must have been doing it. Is that why you decided to refer to it as God?
I think that's I think that's a pretty accurate way of describing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think
And
that's a
what
good
are-
reason
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
come to that conclusion, Kenneth?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
I mean-
hear you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Could you repeat?
Do you think that's a good reason to come to that conclusion?
I don't know if it's a good reason, but it seemed to work at the time. You know, I mean, like I said before, I mean, you can make an argument that I was in such an emotional state, some chemical went off in my brain and caused me to think a certain way. And I can't
And it
argue
worked.
against that.
And it worked, you're
Go ahead.
saying.
Yeah, it worked. And it did make me alter the way I approach things.
You know what, SR, I'm not against calling it God, but the thing is, Kenneth, usually when people say God, I mean, you could label it whatever. I mean, something happened, all right? And you're free to label things the way you like, right? You could call it God, you could call it dog, you could call it whatever you want, right? The thing is that when people usually say God, they're talking about a conscious creator and or manager of the universe, right? So we're not we're not denying your experience, right? We don't want to invalidate what you obviously had a certain experience, right? And because you had that experience, something must have caused it, right? And and that something is either not you, or even if it was you, it wasn't a conscious part of you, right? It could have been a different part of your, because our mind is not just our conscious parts of our minds, right? Our minds does certain things that is independent from what we think we have complete control over, right? So it's not bizarre for your mind. Like if you notice your mind doing certain things without you willing it to do so, that doesn't necessarily mean that something externally entered your mind. That could have still been an internal processes of your mind, but not the conscious part of your mind. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
I can't. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
You go ahead, Kim.
Oh, yeah. I cannot prove you wrong in that. You know, I cannot. You may be absolutely correct. It may have been, like I said, something that comes out of my subconscious. I was in such an emotional state. Something happens, and I choose the thing that happened is God. And perhaps that's what's been happening throughout time. Who knows, right?
I wonder, Kenneth, do you think your confidence in this, saying that this is God, right? That gave you that experience, where that experience started from. Do you think your confidence in that is related to the effectiveness of it in the past? Like, because it's worked, you know, man, I really, really believe it.
I think so, yeah, because be quite honest with you, you know, I've been raised a Christian, you know, and I was in a very fundamentalist, you know, whatever type church at one time, and it really wasn't working for me. It still doesn't. But the thing is, when I would consciously try to do that path or what was prescribed to me through that particular faith, you know, nothing real. I didn't get the same experience like I did when this happened to me, right? I was basically towing the line of that religion I was in. But when I kind of walked away from that, which I know is going to really tick off a lot of your Christian folks, when I kind of walked away from that and was kind of doing my own thing and really wasn't thinking about it, but I was in a very emotional, hyper state of being irritated by something, and then like a flash of light, something hit into my brain that says, "Oh," and it wasn't. And the conflict wasn't coming from what hit in my brain had nothing to do with the emotional. Why I was in an emotional state. If that makes any sense.
Sure. Do you think because you were in that heightened emotional state, you were more likely to grab on to any answer that may have worked in that moment?
It's very possible. The only thing is, it was just something out in left field. Let's say you were, let's say you were mad with the guy in McDonald's because you got your order wrong, and you just then all of a sudden says, "Hey, this thing, that you had this," and I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm giving it an example. You had that argument with your friend a year ago, and you need to get that straight. It was something along those lines. So
Sure.
I was mad about, say, the person mad about McDonald's, but something else came in that was unrelated. And I said, "Oh my God, you're right. I should."
Sure.
I hope that makes.
If I had this exact same experience, Kenneth, like I mean, obviously, we're different people, right? You're in Virginia, I'm in a different state, that type of stuff. But like, if I had that exact same experience, but ultimately attribute it to Shiva or Zeus,
Mm-hmm.
how would you and I be able to distinguish between both of our claims here? What could we do utilizing that method to kind of come to an answer together? Because if you're right, I want to be there with you, man. I want to know that. I want to have my mind changed like that, and so what could we do together in that instance to make some progress there?
I don't think we can, in that sense, because that's what happens is, God, no, I'm on my lecture. I'm sorry.
You're good, man. Keep going.
I just think it's like it's kind of like religion. Religion kind of gets in the way, because then we got to create a framework to be able to pass this experience on to someone else, and we come up with religions, and then somebody else have an experience over there, and they come up with another religion. You got Zeus on one side, and you got Jehovah on one side, or Yahweh.
They all kind of sound the same, don't they?
Yeah, it's kind of like the twain will never meet.
Right?
That was just, I think, right, and I agree with you. I think there was just, it could be anecdotal. That there was this issue that they had this religious conference somewhere, right? And they had the monks and they had the priest. Well, the priests were constantly bickering and arguing about some point of doctrine or some crap like that. But the monks got along. The monks got along because they were leading an ascetic life. They weren't really focusing on religion. They was focusing on the experience. And even though one was Buddhist and one was Catholic, hey, we connect.
Sure.
It's confusing, but that's what happened.
Can I say a few things? First of all, I want to say I really congratulate you that you are so open to alternative explanations of whatever your experience is. Like, you're so, like, every time somebody says, like, could it be this? You're like, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's an option. Like, the fact that you are so open to that, to consider that you're so skeptical, that's really valuable. So hold on to that. That's really good. With regards to the experiences that you're having, it seems to me that these are positive experiences that you want to hold on to, that you consider valuable, right? Do you think that?
Yeah.
And when somebody calls the source of these experiences God, or talks about spirituality and mysticism, sometimes I get this impression that they think that whatever is the cause of these positive experiences is coming from an independent, larger, powerful entity, whether it's the universe or something, a God entity or whatever that is causing that, right? Wouldn't it, if these are not coming from that source and they're coming from you yourself, do you think it would take anything away from how great these experiences are? Like, do you think it would reduce the value of these experiences that you're having if you find that you're responsible for it, not a powerful entity independent from you, outside of you? Do you think it will enhance the experience, keep it the same, or reduce how positive these experiences are?
Great question.
That's a good question. That's a great question, actually. And I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, on one hand, I say, yeah, if this is generated by me, hey, look, I got the answer, right? On the other hand, and maybe this is just a carryover from when I was a traditional Christian person that wanted this God-like figure out there that's looking over me and saying, hey, I got your back. So I can't really answer that question right now, but I can see your point. I really can, because it is possible that this could be self-generated. But I do kind of like that idea that there's some entity out there that is making meaning to this. I can't prove it. That exists, okay?
I get
I'm not going to
why.
follow that.
Yeah.
I get why that's comfortable. No, don't worry at all, Kenneth. What you just said was awesome. I totally understand why somebody looks at the world that you've laid out, right? The understandings that you have, and then the opposite side of that, which is like, hey, that stuff isn't there. And I get why somebody would look at that first, understanding and be like, oh my gosh, that seems so much cooler and better and all that stuff, Here's the way I often think about it, okay? There's a bunch of us all sitting around at an ice cream shop, and each one of us has these incredible banana split sundaes right in front of us. We got all kinds of stuff just thrown in there. It is so interesting. There's all kinds of dynamics that are happening right here in front of us. And somebody walks up to me and points to my ice cream sundae, and they say, yours is missing sprinkles. Mine has sprinkles. And I look at their sundae, and it looks exactly the same to me. And they go, no, but try it, taste it, it's better. And it tastes exactly the same to me. I don't think we need those sprinkles, man. I think the world is just freaking awesome as it is.
Right.
So, hey, man, don't be worried if there's no sprinkles on your sundae, because you know what? There isn't on anybody else's either, it seems. So.
Well, I mean, there's a way to add some sprinkles to that.
Well,
I think, like, let me tell you how, because I get the idea of how. I mean, I don't know. I get the sense of anxiety if we're just by ourselves and nobody is there to like just help us out. If things like it seems very lonely. Like I get it, right? If the universe is just indifferent to whatever the hell happens to us, right? But this God entity, if it's helping you from outside, the extent at which it could help you, it seems to provide you these positive framing of and these feelings that it's giving you. Like that seems to be the way it can help you, right? That's the extent that is available, right? And if you are the cause of that, right, then even if there's no God to take care of Kenneth, we have Kenneth to take care of Kenneth, right? Because Kenneth is doing that, right? So, I mean, you are being taken care of, right? Maybe not by but by you, and that I think is a source of comfort, because it's also it gives you a lot of self-confidence that I can do this, that even if I'm alone, right, I got my own back. Like it's empowering to feel like to be able to rely on yourself to take care of you, and it adds something, so with that God mindset, you have the feeling of somebody's taking care of you. But if you feel like, you know what, I take care of me, then it comes with that sense of comfort plus a sense of pride. Then you don't need a God to give you a sense of significance, because I am giving myself a sense of significance. So I feel like that vacuum of feeling lonely can, if you love yourself enough, you never feel alone, because you have you. Do you know what I mean? So before we go out looking for a God to take care of us, and even before we go and look at other people to love us and take care of us, if you could see, like, imagine, I know the sense of spirituality that you're referring to, and I don't want you to throw it away, But imagine how much more powerful that would be if you realize you are this God. I am this God.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah, that's actually very powerful, and that is something I will consider. Now I know you get other callers in, but can I just make this one statement, and this can go off of a lot of these Bible thumping people that something they should think about. Is that okay?
Yeah, wrap it up for us, Kenneth.
Yeah.
All right. So for those who's a Bible thumper, I wish you would consider the Bible like a Rorschach test, the ink blot. Whatever you some people look at the ink block and see a butterfly. Some people look at the ink box and see a bat. A lot of times when people look at the Bible and say, this is in the Bible, if you believe that it's okay to sell your children into slavery to pay off your debt, that says more about you than it does the Bible. And I'll leave it with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great place to leave it, Kenneth. And thank you so much for giving us a call. We really appreciate your chat, man. And just like Armin said, you being, humble and honest about stuff, that is so, so important in these conversations.
Yeah.
Across the board, I think. So, hey, Kenneth, we are here all the freaking time. And when we're not here, we're hanging out in Discord and all these other wonderful places. So just come hang out with us, man. We want to hear where your journey is. And yeah, man, we want to hear from you.
I really enjoyed talking to you, Kenneth. You were so fun to talk to. So thank you for calling.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate you so much. I'll move on. We got a couple of other calls we want to get to, of course.
We have a Muslim caller.
We do. I'm very, very excited for that. I'm very excited. But unfortunately, we have super chats. Hooray. We got super chats. I'm so excited. It's great. It's awesome. It's super cool.
The chat hates you.
Yeah, apparently they're say all these nice fucking things to me all the time, and then here they are, an opportunity to, you could show how much you love me by specifically sending in super chats that are less than $10 right now. I'm just saying, it's
$9.99.
It's something you could do, and they're just choosing not to. Lenny, however, been a member for 2 months, gifted 10 Atheist Experience memberships. That is freaking awesome. So if you got one of those memberships, thank Lenny and then just spam the chat with emojis. I will tell you that I am not ashamed to say that those do not count for this lemon challenge. But Lenny also decided to give 10 euros. He's been a member for 2 months, so that counts. So thanks, Lenny. He said, don't tell me you agreed to do the whole lemon thing without getting wonder berries. Sensei Palum Dulcif Ficum. I don't know how to fucking say that. I did not. I should have got anything. I should have anything at all. Just like, yeah. Okay. Couple more. Neeker Breakers, a member for 2 years, sent $10. Awesome. Saying Ibn Jamai, physician to Saladin of the Crusades, was believed to resurrect a patient. He actually just diagnosed a seizure correctly, but he also used lemons in medicine. Oh, okay. That's nice. So health to SR and Armin. That is really interesting. Yeah. The two Abdullahs actually did a really, really good deep dive into the seizures that Muhammad might have been like, oh man, it's super interesting. Very long, but so worth it. Miranda Rensberger, a member for 1 year, sent $10 to say, I care about your health, SR, and I'd hate for you to get scurvy. That's why I'm helping you out like this. You're welcome. Thanks.
I'm sure we don't need 10 lemons. For
you know what? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know if scurvy's real. I don't think it's real. Philip Mitchell, been a member for 10 years, sending $10 fucking dollars, man. Come on. You couldn't have asked this for like $3. You could have. Can you OD on lemons? I'm sure he will be fine. Thanks. I like how quickly you moved on from that thought process there. Okay. So I have 4 More lemons, apparently, to be juicing here in just a moment. And we will get right back to some awesome calls. We have a Muslim on the line. We are excited to talk to you. We have somebody that is calling in about idealism. We are so excited for that. But first, there is actually some super, super awesome, exciting news. Sophia?
Calling all free thinkers. We are excited to announce that the ACA is launching its first ever fundraising campaign, Amplify ACA, in partnership with Amplify Austin. This is your chance to expand our impact by making your voices heard and supporting the shows that you love.
We invite you to join us on March 5th starting at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing a 24-hour fundraising event and camp out live at the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas. We've got a great show in the works, a whole variety hour with our hosts doing different things, not just taking calls like you're used to, but we're going to have the fun facts and playing some games and lots of different activities. So be sure to join us from that. Again, it's going to be really exciting, and we're looking forward to having as many people involved as we possibly can.
Donating is easy on amplifyatx.org. Just search the word atheist. We're the only ones that will come up. And click the donate button. Follow us on our socials for more information.
And this is important. We want to be able to amplify the voices of reason and compassion worldwide. So we ask you, please, donate on Amplify Austin Day to make a real difference.
Thank you so much, Ben, Sophia, and Jamie. Yes, everybody. This is our first ever major fundraising campaign, and we need your help to make it a success. So mark your calendars for March 5th at 6 p.m. for our fundraising kickoff party and 24-hour live stream. Come on down to the Free Thought Library if you are in Austin, or join us online via the Atheist Experience channel. Make a plan to donate, and let's amplify the ACA together. That is awesome. I'm excited for that. I hope we're going to see a bunch of people out there. I have a couple more lemons to juice, Armin, but in the meantime, while we're doing that, we are going to go out to the United Kingdom, and we are going to talk with Muslim Intellect. He, him is telling us that the world would not exist without God, it sounds like. So
he's asking. He's asking.
You're right. Would the world exist? You're right. He's asking. I'm so sorry, Muslim Intellect. You are on with Armin Navabi and Secular Rarity. What you got?
Hello there. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. There seems to be a delay.
Okay. I'll try and wait for you to respond then. So my question is, would God exist without this world? You know, for me, the world exists in itself. It's something that indicates to me God exists.
Okay. What is? Can you define? So you're saying? I think you mean, would the world exist? I think you phrased it the other way around. So your question is, would the world exist if God didn't exist, right? That's what your question is.
Yeah.
And your position is that your position is that the existence of the world by itself proves the existence of God. Is that your position?
Yes.
Okay. Can you walk us through how you came up to that conclusion?
Yeah.
First of all, when you have like human beings, for us to be created, and then we can speak, we can breathe, we live and die, and that kind of stuff with all the brain we have, and then you have God Almighty telling us that He exists. Surely that is something that is rational, right? Because if no one created us, why is it human beings are so sophisticated to have such intellect in them? Surely there must be a God Almighty that has created us when He says that in the Quran that He created us. So to me, that makes sense.
Muslim Intellect, real quick. Why does that argument not work for the Christian? Why are the Christians wrong when they say that?
Because the Christian belief, what they have, the beliefs they have, doesn't line with their religious scriptures, and their Bible has got so much
No,
problems and it's contradictions and mistakes.
In the Bible, it says that God made the earth. That's Yahweh, right? That's Elohim. That's not Allah. That's Yahweh. He made the earth, and then he sent his son down to suffer and die for everybody's sins. Their book says that. What you just said was, well, it tells us in the Quran that Allah made us. And all I'm saying is, yeah, it tells us in the Bible that God made us and Jesus Christ was his son. Why aren't the Christians correct when they say that?
Right. First of all, Yahweh is the same God as Allah. It's just that the name's been different does not mean it's not the same God, because the Quran does actually confirm that Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ, is actually a messenger of God. So the Christians believe does not even line with the Old Testament beliefs or even in the New Testament, because God is only one, but they have different beliefs. And their Bible has got so much problems and inconsistency, contradictions and mistakes, false prophecies. So because of that, that's not perfect for me.
You're saying that if the Quran had inconsistencies that we could show and point out, that you would think that the Quran is less likely to be from God now? If
Yes. If there is inconsistency in the Quran, then that would be problematic. Yes, I'll agree with you on that.
Heck yeah, I like that too. Man, it would be, gosh, I can't think of any at the moment. I wonder if we have somebody close by that might have a lot.
I don't want to get into that right now. I want to focus on the original argument, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Because I don't know if I heard an argument. Okay, Muslim Intellect, right? Because I asked you made it. Is that? By the way, SR, let me know if you, because you're the main host. I want to make sure you're okay with the direction that. Okay, cool. Because I ask you believe there's a world, and the existence of the world means that there's a God. I asked you how you came up with that line of reasoning, and then you said, well, you just repeated what I said. What I think you did is you either repeated the claim, or you suggested, in my opinion, that you just can't imagine it being anywhere else. Okay, but I don't know if maybe I misunderstood you. I didn't actually see a reason for why you consider it necessary to be a God for the existence of the world. So if you say it's obvious that the world has to come from somewhere, so it needs somebody to bring it about, well, it's not obvious to me. So you actually have to that's not an argument. That's something that maybe you're wiser than me, and then you notice something that is obvious to you, but for it to become obvious to me, telling us how obvious that is to you is not actually making the argument, right? And also, if you tell us that you cannot think of anything, anywhere, any other way for the world to exist without there being a God, that is also not an argument for the existence of God. Maybe it's an argument for your or my failure of imagination, or our failure of coming up with other alternatives, but it's not actually an evidence for that to be a required thing. Do you understand? Does what I'm saying make any sense? Even if you disagree with me, do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand your question, but
okay.
I don't think that you have responded to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, for us human beings, with so much as how sophisticated we are, to be able to create all these things, technology, everything, and to be able to have such brain in us and do things. And yet again, you have animals as well existing, and then you have trees and everything. For us to come to this world, surely there must be something else that created us, and that's something that we call Allah in the Quran.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're basically repeating so when I say, so you're saying surely that is required, it's basically repeating the claim, right? So for example, let's say you see a murder scene, and SR comes and says, surely Armin is the murderer. and somebody says, well, where's your evidence? And it says, well, surely Armin is the murderer. Like saying surely Allah is required is not actually providing an argument. That is just a repetition of the claim, with maybe with just some added confidence on top of that. That I'm just very confident that this is the only way. But you repeating the claim is not actually providing an argument.
Okay. Would you be at least able to rebuttal me what I said? I know you're saying I keep repeating it.
No, I'm not
but
gonna.
I've made
I'm not.
the point.
Here's the thing. I am not. That is called shifting the burden of proof, right? I'm actually here for this discussion. All right. I'm not actually claiming that God did not create the universe. Okay. I'm not holding any position right now. You're telling me that for the world to exist, we need a God. I'm not saying that the world came about without a God. I'm just saying, okay, that is your position. How do you know? You telling me, well, it's obvious. That is not an argument. Okay? I'm not actually going to make any claim right now. I'm not going to make a claim against you. I'm not going to make a claim for you. I'm just waiting to see how you know what you know.
First of all, we have what you call testimony in the Quran. Yeah, we also have it in the Hadith as well.
So Muslim intellect, you're referring to the Quran. No, just 1 second. It's strange that you're referring to the Quran without us having to establish if there's a God, because the Quran is worthless if we haven't established yet that it comes from an authority worth listening to, when we haven't even got to the point of God's existence or not. Why would before we even understand if there's a God or not, why would we take the Quran seriously? Like quoting, do you understand that how quoting the Quran is useless before we actually established, one, that there is a God, two, that that's the same God that brought us to the Quran? Then we go look at it and see what the Quran has to say. That's when we go look at the Quran says, not before, but after. Does that make sense?
I mean, the Quran is not a worthless book, because it is one of the books that give us support that God existence.
Muslim intellect. I'm going to cut in. I'm going to cut in rudely, okay? I'm doing this for a very specific reason. I don't think you're listening. I don't think you're listening right now. I think you're ready to respond, but I don't think you're listening. So I'm gonna take us back just a quick few seconds, because I think Armin said something that's really, really important, right? And you skipped right over it. So let's get back to it. Go ahead, Armin. What was that thing you said?
Just to be clear, I'm not saying the Quran is worthless. I'm saying it's worthless to us, to the person who hasn't yet understood that this is the word of Allah, right? If, for example, if I say that this message comes from Allah and I don't believe, and you don't believe, if I say that to somebody who doesn't even believe in Allah, I should first put the message away and establish with them that there is an Allah that we should be taking seriously, that gives out messages, and that this is his message. At that point, that message will become very important to me. But before we establish that, for me at least, that message would be worthless. Once you manage to bring me to the position that this is a message from Allah, then I would like, okay, let's see what this says, right? So we have to go back to showing that there is a God without using something that is from Allah. Because does that make sense? Muslim intellect?
Okay, I I understand where you're coming from. So you don't want me to use Islamic teachings first. I have to concentrate on the one you want. Okay? And
don't
I have
agree?
just
like, it's not what I want from you. I want you to also, do you agree with me that it's not Islamic sources, using Islamic sources? Like, do you agree with me that using Islamic sources doesn't make sense until I believe in Allah and his messenger and his revelation? Like, do you understand that should be coming later? Like, right?
Okay, yes. fine. If you want to go that way, that's fine. We can go that way. That's not a problem with me.
Okay.
You know, but I have already told you now. Yeah, I have told you. Why do you think we exist with such brain, with such mentality, with animals?
But if we just said we don't know, let's skip to it. We can get past this really easy because this isn't a crazy question, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Ready? We'll just answer it. We don't know. It's your turn now. You tell us how you get to it being Allah, because if you are correct, Muslim intellect, I want you to hear me when I say this, okay? I mean this totally freaking genuinely. I want to know if you're right and I'm wrong. I want you to prove me wrong. Force me to believe the correct thing. Provide for me evidence and argumentation that is so overwhelming I can't do otherwise. Help me out.
Yep. Me and
now,
SR are a bunch of jahil. We just assume that we are jahil and we have no idea. Like we are completely clueless. We don't know where the world came from. Okay. You're telling us is God and we're actually very curious. Very curious. Oh, somebody is telling us. Well, we were asking this like right before this show. Me and SR were saying like, "Hey, where did the word come from?" I was like, "I have no clue." All right, so you are telling us that it's from God. Okay, tell us how you know that.
Right. First of all, I mean, I don't think you are a jahil. You know, I think you have intellect in you. So to say that would be very silly. And I want to respond. What's the other guy's name? What's the other guy's name?
Or Elliot.
Yeah, SR, Elliot.
Elliot, okay.
Okay.
All right, Elliot. Okay. By the way, Elliot, you said to me you don't know why such things exist like human beings and animals and stuff like that. So this is why I am coming in the Islamic position now, you know? Okay. Because I believe the Quran does give us some statements that make sense. So for me to prove it to you, I will also have to use my religious scriptures because it's my belief. I cannot avoid it.
Why should I care about your religious scripture, though? This is the issue, though, Muslim intellect.
Because
why should I care? Because I had this conversation with Armin. Just actually, it's so weird. We literally have this exact same conversation every morning at 9 a.m. We call each other. We go, hey, do you know where the world came from and human brains and all this crazy stuff? And then we're just like, nope. And it's like, wouldn't it be awesome if somebody told us? And I actually just the other day had a Christian telling me, you know what, Elliot, crazy enough, I've got the answer. It's in this book thing. It's this Bible thing. And it tells me all this stuff. And you know what? I think you agree with me, Muslim intellect. I shouldn't believe that Bible because there's all these problems with it. Why in the world should I care what the Quran says?
Right. I've already told you guys about Christian Bible. There's a lot of problems within the Christian Bible. So itself cannot be used to prove their claim because of inconsistency in it. You know, I don't believe the Quran has inconsistency in it. And God told us, for us human beings to come to this world, he actually created us, okay? So because of that, you said you don't know, okay, Elliot and Armin, you don't know it. God is telling us that in the Holy Quran, that we exist because of him. Okay.
Okay. How do we know? Okay, let's go with that, the direction that you want to go. Okay, we have a book that it has written that in it that the author of this book is God, and he's telling us that he created this world. Okay, why should I take that as truth? Why should I take that seriously? Why should I believe this book?
First of all, God Almighty has told us that. I'm not finished yet. Please don't cut me off. God has told us that. We also have what? Hang on, let me finish, please. I did listen to you guys.
I said okay. When I said okay, you said let me finish, and I said okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. No, sorry, because I think to hear you it's a bit late to hear you. Sorry. Yeah. So God has told us this. We also have testimony from the prophets of God. We have the prophets of Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus. We also have these testimonies in the Christian Bible, which is the Old and the New Testament. We also have in the Hindu and the Buddhist scriptures that God exists. So because of this intuition we have within us as human beings, that is one of the evidences that God exists. And Allah has told us this in the Quran.
Okay, can I now get in? Am I allowed to get in now?
Yes, of course. This is your show.
So,
come on. It's your show.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure that you got all the justification in. My question remains, okay? So we have certain texts that says God said so, Muhammad had testified, Moses, I don't know, Noah, whatever, all these texts, okay? My question is, why should I believe this text? Why should I agree with it? So you're saying, hey, look, I have these scripture from Islam, from Christianity, from Judaism, which is technically Islam as well, right? But from other whatever, and you're saying I have a lot of claims written on a piece of paper that came from us from ancient times. Okay, I agree with you. You have that. Okay, you have those papers and the things that you say that has. We are in agreement. Okay, I've read those books. Right, I know what they say. But my question is, why should I believe that what they're saying is actually the truth?
Okay. Should I go to the Quran now and show you maybe some evidence?
I mean, so I don't understand why you want to go to the Quran, because anything you read from there, I'm going to ask you the same question. You're going to read a lot of claims to me, but the claims, I need the evidence. I need either an argument or some evidence for the claims. Reading out the claims is just okay, here's Muslim Intellect. What is the difference between making a claim or providing some sort of evidence or argument from the claim? If you go to the Quran, I've read the Quran at least 3 times. Okay, you're going to see a series of claims. I don't care about the claims. I need to know, how can I know that these claims are true? Like, how do you know these claims are true? That's the whole Quran is a series of claims. Yeah.
Okay, because we have testimony.
Testimony is somebody saying. Testimony is somebody making a claim.
Testimony. Where? Where do you have testimony that the Quran is true?
Okay.
I mean, isn't testimony just another claim?
Yes, it is. I have no idea what he could possibly be talking about, unless he's trying to say the hadiths, but that is silly. Look, testimony
is Muslim Intellect. Testimony is somebody saying or writing down somewhere a claim.
Yes.
What is that going to do? How does that help us?
Okay. When I say testimony, yeah, I'm talking about in the sense that there are people that come to this world and convey the message of God existence, because God is the one that has sent them. We have this through the prophets.
But you agree with Armin and myself, Muslim Intellect. You agree with Armin and myself that the idolaters are wrong. They are flat out fucking wrong. And you know what they had? They had testimony from a person here on earth that told them all the things that they believe, just like you're saying right now is what you're using. Every time we ask for you to provide us with any justification whatsoever, you say something that contradicts the Quran. The Quran hasn't been shown to be inconsistent on today's live stream, but I promise there's a lot of videos out there. But we have shown that you're inconsistent with your own belief, man. That's not good.
Yeah.
You need to look into that more, and you need to figure out a better justification. If somebody asks you how you know the Quran is true, your first, second, and third responses should never be because the Quran says so. That is a horrible freaking way to come to truth, man.
Yeah, but that's
I'm gonna let Armin say a few more things, and then we're gonna wrap up Muslim Intellect. I want you to give us a call back in the future, but I want you to watch this back, because I feel confident that when you watch this back, you'll say to yourself, "Oh, I could have given better answers," because I think you probably have better answers. But Armin, what do you want to say, and then we'll move on.
No, I just wanted to hear maybe one more time, Muslim Intellect. When you say testimony, all you're saying is that there are people throughout history who have made this claim that I have made, okay? I don't see how is that valuable to us. Throughout history, we have had people making all sorts of claims, all as Asar mentioned, all of them contradictory. People testifying things is not evidence.
Yeah. I think that's a great place to wrap it up, honestly. I don't think we're going to get anywhere further, unfortunately.
But call us back.
Yes.
Call us back.
I genuinely want this. I want you to call us back, because I feel like you have a very strong conviction, my friend. And I would love to be as convinced as you are, but I'm not. Hey, I've said this before. Go ahead. Nope. Go ahead, please. Say your thing.
Just before I forget, don't forget what you're going to say, because the reason why I didn't want to go to the Quran contradiction part is because I really want to insist on us not making a claim, because the whole point is that I don't want to accept the burden of proof, right?
No, I get it.
Because then I have to. Yeah, I didn't want to go on, because then the argument would be like, well, here's a contradiction, and then he would have to show why it's not a contradiction, and then I would have to continue making the claim, no, this is why. I don't need that burden. The person made the claim. Why do I need to do the heavy lifting to demonstrate why something is a contradiction or not, right?
Yeah.
So
no, I thought your route was great. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the methodology for coming to answers and conclusions is the thing that we should always be looking at, because honestly, we can go through tit for tat all the freaking time, but it's the foundation of how we come to answers to begin with that often is what leads us astray, not the individual things.
And what were you going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's totally fine. I don't think I've ever asked this. Okay. So I think in a previous show a while ago, there was a Muslim caller, and I thought that they were dancing around a lot, and I thought they were doing a really bad job. And I called him out, and I said that actually our sins are on this Muslim's head now. How correct am I in this, Armin? Am I incorrect that there is an understanding in Islam that if you cause your believing brother or sister to sin, that you will also receive punishment for their sins?
Yeah, that's it. That is correct. And it also works the other way around too. Like if you cause them to do good deeds, for example, if you build a mosque, right, and people go pray in that mosque, they will receive bonus points for their prayer. But you, because you built a mosque, you will also, for every single prayer, you will also receive a bonus point. But if you make like a porn video, they will send for watching it, but you will also, for every single person who watches it, it will be added to your sins as well.
I just want all of our believing Islamic friends out there to understand that until you call in and change my mind, help me come to the message of Allah, I will unabashedly sin, and I will make sure that it falls on your head too. I just want to get that out there. Is that okay? I can't say that. Can I say that on? I don't know. That wasn't actually a real,
trying to checkmate Muslims.
Is that okay? Does that work? I don't know if that counts or not. Okay, look, we got more super chats. We got $10 from Miss Non Sequitur. $10 saying, shoot, I didn't realize my $2 chat didn't help ensure you get a delicious lemonade. Yeah, it's great. Obviously, I need to fix that. Again, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks so much. Really, really great. Great. Awesome. You're a great fan. Snow sent $10 from, I don't know, watching live at the library. Add another lemon. Thanks. You're great. You're cool. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Lenny is the only good one out of you right now. Been a member for 2 months and purposefully sent €9.54 to say, just an idea. Give someone who needs a couple of super chats the title Super Chads, or maybe not. Oh, and €9.54 is $9.99 USD. So no worries. Doesn't count for lemons. Lenny is the only one of you that will make it into, I don't know, secular heaven or something. I don't fucking know. We can't. That's a problem on the atheist side. We don't have anything to promise people. Like we can't, you know, like we actually have to give them something if we promise like cookies or something, people expect it. On the religious side, it's like, yeah, sure, you'll have fucking feast and alcohol. It'll be great. All the women and, you know, whatever you could want. But anywho, Miranda Rensberger apparently, I don't know, has money today. Been a member for a year and sent another $10. Think outside the box, SR. I see nothing in the rules that says you can't add sugar and water to the lemon juice. Yeah, well, you could have fucking said that before we sat down for the fucking show. Once I sit down, I'm like stuck in this goddamn chair for like, it doesn't matter. I'm not mad at you, Miranda. I'm mad at the situation. I just want to let you know that. And Philip Mitchell, been a member for 2 years, also just with deep pockets today, bro. I don't know why you guys are feeling the need to do
and
this.
vodka.
Yeah, and says add vodka, you know, which I am not allowed. I am not allowed to do. I know, but I've got right here. Jesus fucking Christ. I got it all right here. I don't want to do this, but all right. Look, we're going to go grab somebody else, I guess, in a second. But there are technically some fucking announcements. All right, hang on. Oh, okay, like the video. Oh, shit. Like the video. Oh, God damn it. Subscribe. Oh, fuck. You know what to do. We're on Meetup. Shit, fucking. Yo, if you're in the Austin, Texas area. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's Sunday fucking things at the Free Thought Library or something. I don't know. There's fucking people hanging out and shit. Other days of the week. Jesus Christ. I don't want to. Oh my God. Okay. All right. I think I swallowed a seed. Okay. Okay. We're gonna grab Mike. Oh my God. Mike in South Carolina. No pronouns. He's a theist. Hey, Mike, you're saying atheism is imaginary. What you got for us? Holy shit.
Hey,
Okay.
how you guys doing? Sorry about that, secular rarity. I was going to say you got a lot of time to decide for Jesus, but it looks like maybe you don't.
Yeah, maybe not, right? Yeah.
All right, how about I talk and you just heal up and
Good call.
Unless anybody else wants to talk. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, the reason I called, I'm messing with you a little bit, but I think that song "Imagine" by John Lennon, that was played at Jimmy Carter's funeral. That's really an atheist anthem. I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. I can read it to you. I got it in front
How
of me.
so?
The lyrics.
How so? Please
It's
elaborate.
It's "Imagine there's no heaven." I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, it's okay. You we don't need to read out the lyrics online. There's a lot of themes in the song that are definitely, clearly kind of poking fun at religious concepts in general. I think, hey, maybe it's kind of atheistic, maybe it's kind of secular, whatever. I'm more interested, honestly, Mike, in the statement that atheism is imaginary. Is that something that you agree with?
Well, I was talking with the caller, and I just wanted to mess with the imagine thing. And he's like, "Do you believe in atheists?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I think atheism is not a position to hold. It's a position you hold until you figure it out." And that
Why?
is,
I mean, you're not wrong. It's not a position. It's a lack of holding a position. So you're not wrong.
Yeah. Why is that a problem?
yeah. Well, you guys talk a lot about somebody has burden of proof and this and that. When it comes to the big question in life is why are you here? And I believe that the answer is to decide whether or not you want a relationship with Jesus. And to be an atheist and say, "Gee, I don't know."
That's a big question for you. That's not the big question for me. I mean, Mike, I don't think you get to decide what's the biggest question in my life. You get to decide what's the biggest question in your life.
Yeah.
That doesn't even come close to maybe number.
Yeah. How did you come to that question as being the most important question? Like even what you said about like the biggest question being why are we here? Like that isn't the big question that I ask myself a lot of times. That isn't what's keeping me up at night. I've got other things I'm thinking about.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, I care about stuff like what I'm going to do next week, my career.
I think, Mike, more important, I mean, why are we here? Mike, why are we here is an interesting question that I sometimes might think about. But to me, the more important question is, given that we are here, what do we do now? I think that's a much more... That's a much higher priority question than why are we here? Because we can't. The reason why that second question is higher priority is because we cannot change being here, right? So for one reason or another, we are here, and given that I have no control over being here, over that original decision, then I'm going to think about the things that I do have control over, which is what do we do now? So I think that's a better question than why are we here.
Yeah, I mean, they're related. They are. I mean, it's like, okay, why are we here? Well, we're here. That's why. Okay. Well, now what are we going to do with whatever time we have left? If we're not choking on a lemonade seed or whatever, we're going to have decades. Probably, maybe. I don't know how old you are. But the question is, does it just end? Or is there something else? And I'd say the burden of proof, my preposition, is that the burden of proof is on each one of us, not on somebody to come and convince you and try and show you Jesus or anything else. The burden of proof is on you to figure out, now that you're here,
does it make any sense?
What's going to happen when you're dead?
That doesn't make any sense, Mike.
It makes a lot of sense.
How is the burden of proof on me when it either is or is not the case that there's an afterlife? There's no burden of proof on me. If I'm unconvinced, if I just woke up yesterday after being in a coma since the day I was born, I still continued to grow, I still got older and everything, and woke up after, 30 years in a freaking coma, there would be no burden on me as to whether or not an afterlife does or does not exist. It just either is or isn't, man. Like maybe there's a burden on me to investigate it in some way or actively try to learn stuff, fine. But whether or not there is an afterlife has absolutely nothing to do with me or you or any other individual.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You said the burden of proof is to investigate it. That's the burden of proof.
Maybe again,
that's not the burden of proof. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
I think we're misusing the term burden of proof.
We are.
You could decide that maybe there's a burden on us to investigate as much as possible to come up with answers to different questions in life. But when we're using the term burden of proof, that is referring to something very specific. And this other new concept, this new burden that you are introducing to this conversation, that's an opinion that you have that maybe we have to accept this burden. Somebody might disagree. Somebody will like, no, I'm cool. I don't see this. I don't want to accept this burden, right? But when we're talking about burden of proof, we're specifically talking about whether if somebody who hasn't made a claim doesn't have to prove anything because they simply haven't made a claim. That's a very obvious thing that's what's referring to, right? But you could say like, okay, but I think you should make a claim and then, or at least try to get to a claim. That's a different conversation that we could have. Like, is that what your position is? That, hey, like get into the ring, stop just saying, I'm not going to hold any position until something is shown to me. Actually go out and actually try to come up with answers. Is that what you're trying to say, Mike?
Wow, you're the man. That's exactly it. Yes.
Okay, good. And then once we go out, so I mean, I would like to encourage, I don't think like we should say that it's your duty to do so, but I like to encourage people to do so. Like there's a difference between saying that this is your responsibility or using another path of the thing, it will be good to do so. It might not be your responsibility, but it's highly recommended. I've done it and it's a good thing to do. And I say this based on experience. And it will just be good if we have a society where people are actively thinking about these things and trying to come up with answers, right? That would just be a better society, okay? And it's good to encourage it, right? Okay, so fine.
No, I don't care about, this is not about, go ahead. Go ahead.
You go ahead. No, correct me. I don't want to misrepresent you, so please correct me. What's your position?
Yeah, I don't want to open this up to society. This is a burden of proof, you, yourself, and I. It's just between yourself and your future. That's your burden of proof, is
but it's not
searching and seeing if you really know the truth.
Okay, I'm having an issue with the term burden because this is something, it's a choice, right? You could be like, I encourage you to do so,
it's an obligation,
but it's not required. It's an obligation?
Yes, and I'm reading the definition of burden of proof is the obligation to prove one's assertion. And I guess the assertion is the truth is out there, and it's up to each one of us to go and find it instead of sitting back saying, yeah, who knows? It's confusing.
Mike,
I'm not that smart, or I don't care.
Mike, real quick. You're taking a concept that really applies to specific claims, and you're trying to apply it to generalized claims, right? So like, it's not that every person wakes up every morning, takes a big deep breath of fresh morning air and goes, the truth is out there. That's not really what's going on with people, right? Sure, we all seem to kind of desire truth in some way, but when you phrase it like this with the burden of proof, to like go out and find, I think you're mixing concepts unnecessarily, like Armin was talking about, and it just muddies it up a little. We get what you're saying. We don't have to keep using this term that's not really, applicable.
Let me see how this is an obligation, Mike. Let me give you an example, okay? Imagine a woman, okay, that she's a kind person. She's very good to every people in her life. She has a job that is in a company that cleans the oceans, right? Like she works there and she's proud of her job. She's a scientist, like that's how she contributes to that company. She's a very good mother. Everybody that meets her thinks that she's a lovely person and a kind person, and she is a person that hasn't hurt anybody. And throughout her life, she basically contributed to, like, she was born, she was a good person, people loved her, and she passed away. And she was just a net positive to her family, to the people she worked with, and society as a whole, right? And throughout her life, she didn't really bother about philosophical questions. She didn't think much about where she came from. She didn't think much about what would happen to us after we die. Did she fail in any way? Like, did she not meet her obligations based on your standard?
Yeah, it's an obligation to herself. That's what I'm saying. I'm not letting you off the hook by being agnostic or saying we just can't figure this out. I'm saying everybody should be searching for the truth always.
Can you answer my question? Can you answer my question regarding this lady? Like, what did she miss out on?
She missed something, yeah. That's not even like a real person. That's like an AI robot you just described. Everybody thinks about this. Everybody.
Okay, so Mike, imagine like I just described to you so this is the problem with your way of looking at life, right? I just described to you a wholesome, a mother that took time spending time with her family, with her children, with her husband, a woman that was kind to every individual in her life, a woman that was a net positive to the world at large and made the world a better place. And you called her an NPC robot that's not even a person. So I think the way that you look at people and life is actually dangerous. Your philosophy, if you look at something so wholesome, and you don't even consider this person to be a real human being, you're calling them a robot. I think actually what you call an obligation sounds like a disease. Like this is a very ugly way of looking at the universe. This is dangerous.
Again.
You've got an imaginary person who never thinks about what they're going to be like when they're dead.
This is not an imaginary person. This is the life of so many
millions
people.
And millions of people.
This is the lives of most people.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks about it. Everybody thinks about it. Maybe you don't hear them talk.
Not as much.
They're thinking about it.
Maybe sometimes.
Everybody.
Yeah. Not as much.
I do.
I don't.
How do you read minds?
It.
Okay, so now you have superpowers. Now you know what goes on in people's minds more than what studies shows and what people describe themselves. So now maybe you're Jesus.
Everybody thinks
if you are so confident about what goes on.
I don't understand what the purpose of this is at all, to be honest, Mike. And I'll tell you.
I think Mike is God because he's setting
on
obligations on other
that's what
people.
it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. But Mike, look. Here's what I want to do, okay? Because we've been going for like 13 minutes, and I don't think we've gone anywhere. In all honesty, if you think that absolutely everybody in the world, the entirety of their lives are having these thoughts, okay, man, like think that. I don't give a shit anymore. What I'm interested in, though, Mike, is if you believe in a God, and why you believe in that. That's what I am really interested in, not whether or not you think people go around thinking about X, Y, or Z. So let me ask directly.
Well, let's do a quick.
Do you believe in a God, Mike? Do you believe in a God of any kind?
I didn't used to, and now I do.
Why? What changed your mind? That, to me, is super duper fascinating, and I would love to hear that. What changed your mind?
I'll give you a couple bits, but I want to know from both of you. You've never thought about God or where you're going. Is that what you're saying? That this is unreasonable? That everybody wouldn't be.
I'm saying that the way that I'm saying the way that you have repeatedly characterized this the entire time. And it is super duper easy because here at the ACA, we record this shit for you. So just go watch it when we're done here. Go watch it back and then understand why I'm not even going to address that question, Mike, because it makes no sense for you to ask that question if you were actually paying attention and listening to what we were saying. So let's go on to this thing about whether or not, look, watch this, Mike. I know nobody else did, but I know you just heard a beep. You know why? Because I've done this before. And you're muted right now. This is stupid. Let's be adults. I feel like you're capable of doing that. So let's have this conversation that is of actual value to both of us. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I feel very confident, and I'm not going to ask you, but I feel very confident that you also don't really give a shit about that thing that you started talking about when you called in. So let's talk about something that you do care about, which is a massive, life-changing moment, Mike. You got saved at some point, and I want to understand what changed your mind. So there's going to be a beep. You probably heard it. And now you're back on, Mike. What changed your mind to make you go from a non-believer to now a believer?
Okay. I appreciate you asking. And then I'm sure you'll answer the question I asked when I'm not online. So, apparently. What made me a believer was science. I didn't want to be a believer. First, I determined that, like through the universe had a beginning, which was really weird. Then DNA strands, how do you go from 14 to 15? You can't. There's just not enough time.
So let me jump in. Let me jump in for a second, because I think you've already given some good explanation here. Let me just make sure we're following along together. It sounds like what you're saying is there were scientific discoveries that you came across in your life that made you believe that a God must be the reason that those things are true. Am I understanding you correctly, Mike?
Yeah, it was a two-parter.
Cool.
First, the science made me think that something designed us. And then the second part was I went through all the religions, and only one of them had something where you decided to like get married versus you trying to earn your way, and how many points do you have in the Islam system you're talking about. The other one was just let's just start instead of you.
Let's just take a look at the science for a second here. Mike, let's just take a look at the science for a second. I'm going to ask you a question that might be a little weird. Okay. Before those scientific discoveries, was anybody else in your eyes justified in believing in the God that you believe in?
I don't know if I've really thought about that. I guess before the scientific discoveries, I talk about DNA. You know, Darwin didn't have DNA. But before that, they didn't know if the universe started, so they didn't have that advantage. All they had was the historical record of Jesus, which is very interesting. That's also very compelling. The coming back from the dead, everybody changed their attitudes when he came back.
But you already had all of that before you came to those scientific conclusions, right, Mike? You already had all of that. That stuff existed. So do you think those other people that didn't have those scientific conclusions, do you think they were justified in believing?
I think so, if you really dug into it. I just thought Christianity was a crutch. I really did. And I didn't want any part of it. Plus, I had to get through school, and I had to get a degree, and I just didn't have time for this. So
are you justified in believing?
At the very end of my education.
Mike, are you justified in believing your position now if those scientific discoveries were proven to your satisfaction to be incorrect? Your understanding of those things, if you found out today that those things weren't what you thought, would you still be justified in holding the position that you have now?
If what I thought was true was proved not to be true, then I wouldn't be justified. But
cool. So if they never had those to begin with, what does that mean for them? Are they justified or unjustified?
That means that
in your eyes, that's all I'm asking here.
The Jesus thing that I did. Yeah, no, I got dragged into it because of science. I did. I guess eventually I'd see the way people act, and life is just futile. That I would have come to it, I would think, at that point. But the science brought me to it faster.
So the science doesn't actually matter, is what you're saying, it sounds like to me. Because it sounds like you're saying even without that information, you would still come to this conclusion. And you're saying that other people also in the same conclusion as you are justified despite the fact that they didn't have that information. So the science really doesn't matter, does it? Whether it's there or not, it doesn't seem to be holding anything up.
I think the science got my attention. It got my attention first.
Yeah, but without it, you would still believe. You just said that.
The resurrection, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, but you just said without it, you would still believe, and other people are still justified. How could they be justified if they don't have those scientific conclusions? That's what led you to this belief, you say.
Yeah, the science got me started, and then I learned so much more, and I was like, holy crap. Looks like this was real as far as the resurrection and history being changed and our calendar being changed. Yeah. So, I mean, when I dug into it, I was like, oh, okay. Because I wanted to see if the resurrection was real when I was checking out all the religions. I was like, wow.
I'm going to kick it over to you, Armin, because unfortunately, at a point in time, my head starts to bleed from smacking it against a wall. So,
no, I don't have much more to add except the fact that it was very interesting to me at the when I was talking, that when I said that many people who have full lives, full wholesome lives, they enjoyed and everyone else might have enjoyed, he said that person does not, like, that's not a real person. Like I think it takes a lot of arrogance to think that because I care about something, then the only way of being is for everyone else to equally care about this topic. I mean, and then it said, then Mike said, do you guys not think about these things? Well, I personally do.
Yeah.
These questions, I personally spend a lot of time thinking about it, but I'm not arrogant enough to assume that just because I care about these questions, then that's the way to be. I recognize that a lot of other people might even find these topics. I know people. There are people in my life that I love that absolutely will roll their eyes as soon as I bring a topic like that, and they are having full, happy lives, and I would not want to change them. I would not go like, why are you not thinking about these things? They're doing fine. And I love them, and they love other people, and they're great people. Why would I think that everybody has to care about the things that I care about? Like, that's, I think, like, is not arrogant. I know some people that are so arrogant that say like, oh, you're not intelligent enough to care about these things. But then you take it to another point and say they're not even human. They're just NPC AI robots if somebody doesn't care about these things. That is a level of arrogance that I haven't seen. But anyways.
And I think the method that you came to this
what's your favorite lemonade?
Hang on, Mike. I appreciate you.
But this is special. The things I care about is so special.
Yeah. I appreciate you getting excited, Mike. But listen, just like Armin is pointing out with that incredibly flawed understanding of life, in my opinion, I totally agree with him. I also think we've shown that your methodology for coming to the conclusion about whether or not this God is real is also very flawed. Because if you start out by saying it is because of X that I came to this conclusion, the only reasonable response to the question, if X wasn't there, would you be justified in that conclusion? The only reasonable response is no, never, 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 never. So take a look at that. And then just think about what Armin said, because honestly, I really think it is so sad to not only tell other people that your sundae has extra magical sprinkles, but to kick theirs onto the fucking floor and tells them that theirs is garbage without yours. That's sad, man. That's sad. So we're going to move on. And
also, SR, I was thinking like, Jesus is supposedly supposed to make you more capable of loving people, right? But imagine how miserable and how hateful your life would be if you look at other people and like, oh, you're not thinking about these things? You're not even a human being. Like, wow. I mean, as an atheist who doesn't believe in Jesus, I think that I would be more capable of loving people if I look at them and I see that they don't care about these topics that I care about, and I'm still capable of loving them and appreciating them the way they are. And then you have Jesus and you're like, oh yeah, this is just an AI robot. Okay. So very love, like they say there's nothing
love like Christian love. Yeah, no love like Christian love.
There's no no. They say there's no hate.
Oh, there's no hate like Christian love. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Hate like Christian love. Yes.
Well, look, I appreciate you. Hey, next time, let's just call in and talk about why you believe in God. Okay. I think we made more progress in the few minutes there than we did just, I don't know, weirdly talking about what you think people think about. So let's do that next time. We got some more things to do. We got some stuff to say. I have some super chats, but at least a few of you are good people, like Lenny, who's been a member for 2 months, sending €5 saying, plot twist, lemons are haram now. Joke's on you. Yeah, that would suck. That would suck. Then just kind of come out of nowhere, cut me off at the ankles. We've got $2 from One-Eyed Heathen, because you're a good person, One-Eyed Heathen, saying the things YouTube atheist will consume. And I'll just leave it right there. I won't say anything else that could put any weird images in anybody's mind. I don't want anybody having any strange thoughts about things that people could be eating for money on camera. $10 from, sorry, it's a terrible transition. $10 from I think it's I'm a traitor, I think is what it's supposed to be. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because you're a bad person for sending $10 and asking, what's with the sourpuss, SR? I mean, did you expect I would give you a response of some kind? Or was it just like, just working on your tight 5 or whatever? I don't know. Anyway. Blind Limey, a member for 2 years and a wonderful host on this great network, sending $10 fucking dollars. Go ahead.
I mean, he's a lemon. Why wouldn't he? This is exactly the time. This is his moment to shine. Look, even his profile picture is a lemon. I would be disappointed if he didn't show up on this one stream.
Does this mean I'm gonna have to suck limes during the Amplify Austin event? It does. It fucking does. I want pictures, or it didn't happen. And here they are. I fucking juiced them. So we got 2 more super chats.
I mean, those are his family that you just squished and are drinking. So I don't understand. Yeah, that's the blood of his kind.
Cry.
This is it.
Okay, we got
Act of genocide here.
Oh my God. $2. Lorene Misha Sadai. I'm very sorry. I pronounced that horribly. $2 saying the burger of proof. Here it's tasty. It is not tasty. Okay, hang on.
We should make a restaurant and we rename them foods after logical fallacies. The burger of proof.
It doesn't look like I'm on board, but I do actually like that idea.
We'll only get the nerdiest of all customers. No one will show up.
That's true. That's true. It'll go out of business very quickly. Miranda Rensberger. Oh God, thank you. Been a member for a year, sending $5. Thank you. Thank you. This show got very acidic somehow. It did. We have some more calls. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, in case I forget, because sometimes I do. Before the night is over, that was a terrible way of saying that. After the show is over, that was a better way of saying it. After this show is done, Armin and I will be hanging out in the Discord for a little bit, chatting it up. So come hang out with us. I will not be eating fucking lemons. Do not ask. I don't want to hear it. It's not funny.
I'm sure that's what people want.
It's not funny. It's not funny, you guys. But we do absolutely have to send a massive, massive thank you to the wonderful, incredible crew who puts on this show every single week. We've got video operators. We have all kinds of people and spirits and animals and plants making things happen behind the scenes here. I don't know how it works, but they tell me it's mysterious. No, but seriously, our crew here is absolutely freaking awesome and always does a wonderful, wonderful job. And they are also always on standby if something medically goes wrong for me, because apparently that's just the boat that we're in now, where that's just going to be a risk every fucking... We're going to go to Canada. We got John wants to prove there is a non-God creator of reality. And I have been told this is not John from Canada, but it is John from Canada. So, hey, John, what is up? You are on with SR and Armin.
As a Canadian, I can confirm that we have more than just one John.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you, John?
Good.
I'm good. Can I have a minute to explain my position?
I actually have the perfect thing for you, John. I will give you a timer, and when that timer goes off, we will just unabashedly interrupt you. But until then, when I finish speaking here in just a second, John, you have 1 full minute uninterrupted. Go ahead.
All right. So your last 2 callers, you wanted proof of a thing, of why there's a God. But I don't believe in a God, okay? I do, however, believe in a creator, and because everything I observe has a creator. For instance, energy, light energy, is created when electrons with atoms jump from a higher energy level to a lower. Thermal energy is created when there is movement. Kinetic energy, or thermal and heat, and thermal kinetic is created by motion, something that creates motion. Gods are created by men. Sand is created by eroding rocks. Everything you observe, even yourself and the voice you're hearing, I am creating that. It is not just magically coming from nowhere. So everything you observe has a creator, more so than 1 equals 1. And why does 1 equal 1? Because all ones previous to it have equaled 1. And you know, without even seeing the next one, that it will equal 1, even without seeing it. Just as everything has had a creation, you know the next thing will have a creator,
John,
without seeing it.
I am unabashedly cutting in to interrupt because that 1 minute has expired, and I think you put out some decent stuff, so we have some stuff to respond. I'm really, the only thing I think I can say, John, is, do you know what the term equivocation means? Does that mean anything to you?
Explain it.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of different uses of various words, right? Like cup, polysemous is what it's often referred to as, meaning a word has multiple meanings. And unfortunately, while the same word is being utilized and oftentimes similar concepts are being talked about, they are separate things. And I think what you're doing here is equivocating on the word create, because I think in one instance, you're recognizing create as a purposeful act by an agent to make something happen. And then in another instance, I think you're understanding the word create in a non-tied to anything kind of way. Like an explosion creates a big boom. It's like, yeah, okay, it's just a resulting consequence of things happening in the world. I think you're mixing up those two concepts.
Some things beget some things, nothing begets nothing. And I'm using creator in the term Google. This is Google's definition. If you type in creator definition, a person or thing that brings something into existence. So you might want to say these things already existed. When a volcano creates land, it doesn't create it, it forms it. But let's go look at the form definition. Bring together parts combined to create.
John,
hang on.
John, you're just explaining causal.
John, stop.
John, if you're just trying to explain to us the causality relationships between things, nobody is going to deny
he didn't
that.
Just fucking leave. Worthless, John. I'm just going to say it. He absolutely did. He just left. Worthless, John. Every
little snowflake.
I know, absolutely ridiculous. Come on, I'm here. I'm ready to answer your stupid questions. You don't have shit, John. Come on. That's why you left, man. Sorry, it's just silly.
John wasted all of our times by coming up with this amazing revelation. Guys. Things cause each other.
No. I can't do this show anymore. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. I didn't.
Does he really think that he's coming here and explaining that things are causes of other things, and he thinks that he's giving us this new insight?
29 years, Armin. 29 freaking years just for that. Hey. Good for you, John. good for you.
And then he's such a baby. I mean, no insult to babies.
No.
But he's
babies have more.
Yeah, but he's such a sensitive little. Oh my! Why did he leave?
Look, I'm sure he wasn't even a real person. I'm sure John will never call in again because he didn't actually believe the thing that he was saying. I feel like I'm standing on good ground when I make that claim. But the good news is, it is incredibly easily falsifiable, John. You can call the fuck back in whenever, because we're here every Sunday, 4:30 Central.
I'm just very concerned right now for all. I don't know what percentage of your audience here is babies, but if there are any babies watching the show, I didn't mean that. I apologize.
Thank you.
Don't cancel me.
I think you have to be 13 to be on YouTube, right? Isn't that how that works? Like, isn't that just like I don't know.
I'm talking about literal infants.
Look, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make a call out. I'm not going to make a call out to babies out there. Don't be watching the show. Go back to sleep and I don't know, probably finish your milk or something. Anyway, we got Jackie in Mississippi wants to talk about the case for idealism from George Berkeley. Well, that sounds pretty interesting to me, Jackie. What are your thoughts? You are talking with SR and Armin.
Oh, how are you guys doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain.
So basically, in this, I'm going to try and present why I think idealism as a metaphysical system makes the most sense, and why I think the specific subjective idealism I'm presenting here is best integrates with the belief in the traditional view of God. So basically, the premises of Berkeley's argument is SAS percipit to be is to be perceived, and the reason for this is simple. What does it mean for something to exist? Well, all correlates of existence that we can think of or cognitively process involve our perception, right? We can't think of something without space and time. And space and time, we know from Kant, are intuitions, and we can't think without causality. We know from Kant that's a category, and color, etc., are all representations in the mind.
No, wait. That doesn't necessarily. That doesn't define existence itself, right? Just because when we experience something, we say that it exists. It doesn't mean that we're also claiming that without our experience, it doesn't exist, right? Like, that doesn't necessarily follow. Without our perception, like, just because for us to claim that something exists, we rely on our perception. That is true. But that doesn't necessarily show that without our perception, those things won't exist.
Well, yes, because can you define existence?
To be.
Okay, define to be.
Well, I mean, if you keep going to the, I mean,
what does that get us?
If you keep going there, we're going to get to
all words. All words are circular.
No, at some point you're going to get to a point where we just understand what we're talking about, but then the words will, I mean, when we all understand what we're talking about, at some point, if I keep asking you, we'll define this, you're going to hit a wall. What does that show? I mean, I could do that. You're using perception as a way to define existence. I could do the same thing with perception.
Right.
What does it mean to perceive? And then once you have a definition for that, I could have like, okay, what does that mean? And what does that mean? And at the end of the day, your definition of you're defining to be as perceiving. Okay. Well, I could do the same thing you're doing with the word to be with the word perceiving.
Wait, so you would agree with me that to be is to be perceived? I'm confused.
No, I'm saying that just because language is limited, and eventually when you keep asking, what does this mean? What does this mean? We're going to hit the wall. That doesn't mean that to be you can reduce the definition of to be with perception.
Right.
Well, but here's what I would say. I can define what it means to be in perception, which is to be spatiotemporal. To be is to have the categories of causality, extension, identity, and to be involves certain qualia like sound, touch, and
does any of that change if there is no perception? Does any of that change if there is no perception? Does the characteristics and qualities of the rock and the zebra change if nothing else looks at them?
Well, if there is nothing to look at the rock or the rock and the zebra don't exist because we have no evidence.
If all life disappears off this earth right now, Jackie, all life disappears off this earth right now. There is no conscious agent, no mind or spirit, as Berkeley calls it. But if all of that disappears, are you telling me that the free thought library that I have personally pissed in the bathroom at, that doesn't exist anymore? Is that really what you believe?
Well, it would still exist because it would be perceived in the mind of God.
There you go. So I'm super glad that we got there super quickly, because here's the problem with Berkeley's idealism. It's circular, because exactly what you just said there. The reason that Berkeley justifies his understanding of idealism is because there's always a mind watching. And the last thing that he says in the construction of the argument is that it's God. And then you go, well, gosh, that doesn't really make any sense. How's God real? And he goes, well, because idealism's real. Do you see how it falls?
And Jackie, can you show us why this is impossible? Let's say, Jackie, just let's assume, okay, I'm going to give you a world and tell me why this is impossible, okay? This is our world before humans are on our planet. Like, let's say that we have a universe that has just came into being, and there are no conscious mind on it yet. Okay, we haven't got to a point in this universe that there's anything that perceives, right? And let's also assume that the universe has no, the universe has no God, okay? And then there are rocks, we have planets, okay? We have some early form of stars maybe being created. Tell me why this is impossible. There's nothing here that is doing any perception at all. Tell me why you know that this, what I just described, is impossible.
Well, how do you know there's rocks or planets or whatever?
How do you know that this is impossible?
Because
you don't need to know. Okay, so your question is, how would you know? I'm not claiming knowledge. Okay? No. Jackie, you're adding the requirement. I don't need to know. Okay, so how do you know? I didn't claim knowledge. There is no knowledge. There is no knowledge of this universe. There is no perception of this universe, and therefore there's no knowledge of this universe. Why is this scenario impossible?
Because all of the concepts you use, which are planets, rocks, etc., have all been formed using perception.
No, the description of them have been used. Perception is required for us to describe those things, not for you need to show that beyond describing them, perception is also required for their existence, right? So a planet, for it to be described by somebody, it requires to be perceived first and then to describe it. So the description of a planet requires somebody to perceive it, but its very existence, you haven't demonstrated that it requires perception.
Well,
and even if you're right, Jackie, even if we lived in a world where perception was required for existence, then we live in a world that doesn't make a goddamn difference, because we live in a world that is almost identical to a world where perception was not required for existence. So even if you were right, it doesn't really matter.
Well, it would matter because it would demonstrate the existence of God.
But that's circular.
Right. That's what I'm right. That's why there's a problem, Jackie. Don't you get it? Don't you get it, man? That's the problem, is that you're using the idealism to get to proving the existence of a God, but the idealism only works by accepting that there has to be a spirit that is infinite, that is always watching, because we have way too much fucking justification. We cannot help it unless receiving massive structural cognitive damage to the squishy lump inside our head. Whether I look at that fucking toilet in the free thought library or not, I know it's still there because object permanence is a thing. It's real, man. It is real.
God is making that object permanent because God is watching your toilet for you so it doesn't go missing.
God watches you pee.
No, guys, thank you, God, for watching my toilet when I'm not looking at it, so that you can make sure that it's there when I'm back. Okay, that's what we're arguing here. That's ridiculous.
Yes. Jackie.
But you
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The reason I said God was because of the fact that Armin said it wouldn't make a difference if idealism were true. I'm saying the difference it makes is that if God exists, there's all sorts of implications.
But if
idealism can't
Jackie,
get you there.
The point is that if that's an argument for God, then the fact that an identical universe without that would work perfectly, then my universe would be proof for God's non-existence. Do you understand? So we have a universe that runs either way perfectly the same. And because one option could be that everything is there because God is perceiving it, because we also have an option that everything is there regardless of somebody perceiving it, then based on your standard, my argument would be proof of God's lack of existence. Do you understand how this works both ways if we were using your metrics?
But I disagree. But I disagreed that that's an option to not have everything rely on perception, because you can't meaningfully define existence without perception. All definitions are predicates.
You haven't shown that existence requires our ability to define things. We're talking about the existence of a universe independent of a mind, and then you are limiting it to the capabilities of a mind for us to be able to perceive it or not. The word definition, the word perception, these are limited to a mind. When the question is, can these things exist without a human mind, then your argument cannot be reduced to the capabilities of a mind. Do you understand how that's contradictory?
I'm just making an argument from linguistic meaningfulness. Existence without...
But linguistic, so Jackie, again, that's the problem. Linguistic, that you're using language, which is already been bound. You're already talking about something that is limited to a mind. Language is created by a mind. So if you are trying to work within this framework, you cannot answer my question of why can these things exist completely outside of all of these frameworks? If you show me that language fails to do this and that, well, language is a product of a mind. I'm talking about these things existing outside of a mind altogether.
Well, so could I ask a quick question about your position?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, are you positing as like an axiom or as like a starting point the existence of a real that people like Jacques Lacan and the modern Lebovian school, with people like Slavoj Žižek and Alenka Zupakic and Mladen Dolar, talk about the Lacanian real that exists beyond the imaginary and the symbolic?
We don't have to posit anything at all right here, just to point out the flaw in what you have said today. We don't have to have a perfect definition of real or anything. We don't have to have that. You didn't like the definition of existence that we gave. That's fine. We can utilize your definition, and we can go with you insofar as it seems justified to have that type of understanding of what we mean when we use that word. We know that words are not perfect. They don't accurately capture every single aspect of what is existence around us, but we get closer to it the best we can. But again, the problem with idealism, and it's not me saying it, there's a lot of people that have talked about this, right? I mean, for instance, how many objections did George Berkeley first list out when he wrote this down? Do you know? He listed a certain number. How many did he say? These are objections that are obviously going to be thrown against. Now, he answers them, but how many did he list?
I don't remember.
That's okay. I didn't either. I had to go check. Do you really think Do you really think, Jackie, you and I have done enough to understand this argument? If we don't even know that?
Well, I don't think just because there are possible objections necessarily invalidates you.
I don't think either of us have done enough to understand this topic if neither of us seemingly are familiar with the objections that the man who wrote the fucking book on it posited initially. I think that's a problem, and I think you and I should look at that and both say together, oh shit, maybe we should both get a little bit more knowledgeable on this. I absolutely have more to learn when it comes to idealism. But something that I heard that seems to really be a major problem is the first thing I presented to you, is that it's circular. Because the only way idealism works is if God is real, and then idealism is used to prove God's existence. That's not a sound argument, man. Go ahead, Armin.
Can I make a suggestion to Jackie? Jackie, you know, when we were having a normal conversation and we were trying to understand you and you were trying to understand us, I just want to give a suggestion. It gives a, I'm not necessarily saying that's what you're doing, but you know how sometimes like the villain in the movie, they drop a smoke bomb because they see that they cannot win this and they run away. When you get to a point where you just give a whole bunch of names really fast after each other, I think the audience will get the impression that you just lost some confidence and you're just trying to demonstrate that I know a lot, and let me just come up with a list of names of philosophers really fast to just hide my lack of confidence, to show people that I'm actually not smart and I'm not being outdone by these people here. And I think it's just not a good look, and it doesn't actually move the conversation forward when you do that. So I suggest you not doing that. You know, it's not a good look, and a lot of people feel like it's a desperate attempt to look smart. So that's just a suggestion that I have for future conversations.
I don't know what specifically you're referring to, but I would just say to you, secular rarity. I understand what you're saying about trying to learn more. It just seems like unless you can actually provide a counter argument, it just sounds like you're arbitrarily doubting what I would say is a pretty strong premise.
What was my objection, Jackie? I know you can do this. I'm pretty positive I've talked to you before, haven't we? We've been on the phone before, right, Jackie?
Yes.
What was my objection? What did I say is the problem with idealism? It was very clear.
You're arguing that it is circular because it presupposes God's existence in order to prove idealism. Idealism
there you go, Jackie. There you go. So hang on, Jackie. Hang on, Jackie. So let's just be clear. I'm not just hand-waving away this argument. I'm not just saying I'm not convinced. I'm saying when you present this to me, you have walked up to me with blueprints to build a shed. And what I'm telling you is that I see the door and I see the roof, but there is clearly siding that is not there. That is what I have said. That is the honest representation of what I've said. Now, happy to admit, like, hey, man, maybe you could explain that a little better, SR, or maybe you could provide more critiques to the argument. Totally fine. Absolutely fine. Happy to say once again, there's a lot here that I need to learn. But the argument that I provided specifically is that based on this construction that you've been talking about, it's circular. And that is something that I have heard many people say. Go ahead.
No, yeah, let me actually, can I help, Jackie, just a second. Let me see if SR, if I understand for people why this is circular. Okay, let me know if this, okay? So people, the claim is that the material world does not exist. Everything is a perception. If this exists here, it only exists because me or something else, you guys and me, are here to perceive it.
Right.
And then That's what idealists are saying. And then we will come like, okay, so what about things like in my washroom, I have a toilet. Nobody is looking at that. Are you guys are saying that right now, because that is not being perceived, that the toilet doesn't exist? So the idealists were like, no, actually, I created a problem here, and I'm not going to solve it with adding God to this problem. But then they're hoping that you forget that this wasn't a problem originally. You created the problem that wasn't there that you're trying to solve with adding this God. So you cause a problem, and then you're trying to solve the problem with your imaginary God. So the question that we ask idealists is like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe everything needs perception to exist, but can you show it to us? Can you show us that it's impossible for these things to exist without anyone perceiving it? And they're like, yes, we show it by making the claim that everything exists because God is perceiving it. So everything. So where did the original came from? The original claim is nothing exists because of without perception, but everything exists without our perception because I just added an imaginary God that is perceiving everything to solve this problem. So basically everything exists all the time, even without our perception, because I just added an imaginary solution to the problem that didn't even exist at the beginning. I mean, that is idiot. Yeah.
But my claim
all-encompassing
is not that,
observer. Go ahead, Jack.
I think my claim is not, or my argument is not, that we can prove idealism is true because we know God exists to perceive everything. My claim is we can prove idealism is true because of the utter meaninglessness of the term and predicates we have of existence without consciousness.
If we do not have a way to describe the object in Armin's bathroom, does that have any bearing whatsoever on the existence of that object? Yes or no?
I would say it's logically meaningless to say something exists without any predicates that consciousness puts on it.
But that doesn't make any sense, man. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, honestly.
Actually, if that is true, then why don't you just remove God as well and just say my washroom does not exist when we're not looking at it? Why do you even add a God?
It's actually
here?
a simpler answer. It's actually more
Jackie,
parsimonious.
let's say you're right. Everything exists only with perception, and there is no God. And my toilet just stopped existing without us looking at it. So now we don't need a God.
I would say object permanence points to an independent human independence.
So why does object? So you're saying object permanence proves God. I say object permanence proves the existence without our perception. Like, why can't it? Why is the only explanation for object permanence God? Why cannot the object permanence be the evidence that you were looking for things existing behind our perception?
Because I can define and describe God, and you can't define or describe objects without reference to predicates that human beings
do that. Hold up. Wait. Stop. Just go ahead and define and describe God then. That's fascinating. I'd love to hear what that description is.
The omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent basis for the existence of the natural world.
So what are the standard objections that have been talked about for a really long time to anything omni? What are those? What are those, Jackie?
The main criticism of omnibenevolence is the so-called problem of evil, which I believe is resolved.
But you don't have to do that. You don't have to go through all that explanation. Let's just go through why nobody uses the omni terms anymore, okay? And everybody uses the terms maximally. What are the other reasons that people have completely stepped away from that language decades ago? Why are they not using that anymore, Jackie?
So the first is the problem of evil. The second is the paradox of omnipotence, right? Can God create a rock so heavy he can't lift it? And,
is it a paradox or is it actually logically impossible? Is it just something that seems like maybe it doesn't work, or does it literally violate the understandings that everybody is pinning fucking everything on. George Berkeley is pinning his understanding of ideal. Does omnipotence just seem a little weird, or does it literally break the fucking rules?
I believe it just seems weird. I don't believe it's actually logically impossible.
Well, I would say there's a shit ton of people who believe in God that flat out disagree with you, Jackie, and you need to go talk with them first. Look, man, I like talking with you, Jackie. I've enjoyed having conversations, and I think actually we have made progress, and I do apologize. I've drank a lot of fucking lemons today, and I thought this chat liked me a little bit more than they apparently do. So I'm a little testy. I'll give you that, okay? I really don't feel like you have looked into this a lot. And that's sad, because I feel like you have a great desire to learn. And I do too. And I want to learn more on this. Please go listen to some people who specifically talk about why idealism doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because there's a good few of them. Graham Oppie is one that I really like. I actually think there's a good discussion with this guy, Dr. Lance Bush. He's talked about it a lot too. He's not a big fan of it, it sounds like. Please call us back after doing that, and let's talk about this a little bit more. But if this is circular, if you got to have God to prove idealism, and then idealism proves God because he's got to be there to prove idealism, that's a problem. That's just a problem, Jackie. So that has to be addressed first. Go ahead, Armin, then we'll wrap it up. We'll get out of here.
No, we could wrap. We can say goodbye to Jackie.
Well,
yeah,
Jackie,
I just wanted to mention how much progress we have made. That this is the arguments that theists have to make, right? I mean, the idea. So we have gotten to the point of theistic arguments where I say, to show that there is a God, I'm saying like, hey guys, look at this. You're making this exist by looking at it. And now it's under the table and I'm not seeing it and you guys are not seeing it. And the reason why there is a God is because we need God to look at that thing for it to continue to exist. And that's why we know there is a God. Okay. So by the way, I'm thinking about this. What is more realistic? The fact that you're not seeing this, okay, and we believe that that continues to exist. Me and SR at least think that that's still there, even though we're not seeing it. Is that because things exist independent of our perception, right? That's a simplified explanation for why that is still there? Or is it because Jesus looks at it for it to maintain its, object permanence? What is the more simple explanation between these two? But I think like this shows the desperation of theistic arguments, that Jesus needs to look at my toilet for it to remain there next time I want to go poop. That shows that how far we have come, right? And also the only argument they have is a linguistic argument, that I cannot come up with words to get to the very essence of describing with human language what it means to be, because I fail to do that. But I can use language to explain perception. Look how self-centered we humans are, that our capability of the ability of language is used as an indication of what is there and what is not there. I mean, that's quite obvious.
Armin.
Yeah.
Jackie, seriously, I appreciate talking to you. I really do. Again, I apologize. I got a little spicy. Fuckers in the chat keep making me. They want me to drink more fucking lemon juice. I don't know what's wrong with them. Hey, call us back. Please go watch a little bit. Like I said, Graham Oppie's one that comes to my mind. I don't know that Alex Malpass has a lot on idealism, but I could just be missing that. But yeah, go check some of that stuff out and call us back and let's talk some more on this, because I think there's a lot here. But I'm happy to admit, like, I need to learn more on this stuff too. But it's going to take a lot to get over that circular issue in the argument for me. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. We really, really appreciate you. I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna fucking do this again because you fucking assholes. And then we'll read off the super chats real fast. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Why was that one worse? Oh, okay. $10 from Rob Irwin. Fuck you. Woohoo to everyone involved in the show. Whatever, you're great. Blind Limey, been a member for 2 years. $4.99. YouTube, monetizing suffering since 2007. That actually is a great, great slogan. Lenny, been a member for 2 months, sent 20 euros, says, Armin, can I get your best SR drinking lemon juice expression? If chat considers it valid, no actual lemon for SR. So it's on you, Armin. Fucking do a good job, man.
No, I want you to drink more lemon. Why would I do that? I'm not going to do that. Drink more lemon. I'm not going to even try. Drink more lemon.
We've got $5 from Miranda Rensberg. I've been a member for a year. I won't torture you further, SR, but I will point out that a squirt of lemon juice would be delicious on a word salad of existence and perception. So,
okay,
so
I just
true.
before SR hates me even more. I'm just not good at impressions. That's the actual reason.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I suck at impressions.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. We got Lenny's member for 2 months, sending €9.45, saying, "Smoke bomb. I am the philosopher that flaps in the night. I am the gum under the atheist shoe. I am Darkwing Theist." That actually is pretty good.
Oh,
It's not
good.
bad. This
That
is
is
not
pretty
good,
good.
but. Okay.
Is this healthy? Go drink some milk after this.
I don't know what the fuck is gonna help, but look, I have. Oh God, Jesus! I haven't had vitamin C for a fucking month. I feel like at this point. Oh my God! Hey, I'm not gonna scroll back up because my face fucking hurts and I need some water. So there was a prompt this week.
Okay.
I think it was something like, "What's actually under the Kaaba?" So put that in the chat if you want, or don't. You know, I don't care right now. We had a wonderful backup tonight. Go ahead, please.
Regarding the question, the Black Rock, guys, by the way, it's not inside the Kaaba. The Black Rock is in the corner, so please avoid that answer. Yeah, we're talking about inside.
Our faithful Imam always bringing us the right Islamic understanding. Thank you. We had Jimmy Jr. helping us tonight. He was our awesome backup, and he had to bounce. But Jimmy, we freaking love you. If you are not catching him on Talk Heathen, you need to go watch that. I'm done. I really don't fucking have anything else to say. We're going to go to Discord, 4:30 p.m. Central Time. See you guys next Sunday. I need some...
What will it take for you to start
Okay.
opening your eyes, to stop
Go drink some milk.
questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys?
You have milk?
Think it's setting up your business, what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.